The laughter in the grand ballroom went silent the moment the millionaire snapped his fingers and pointed toward the piano. Crystal chandeliers shimmered above marble floors, and every silk gown and tailored suit turned in the same direction, toward a waitress who froze mid-step, her tray trembling in her hands. It was supposed to be a glamorous daytime charity luncheon, filled with polished speeches and polite applause. Instead, it became the stage for humiliation. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Pure Kindness. Stories like this remind us how powerful compassion can be. Ariana Vale had only taken the catering job because her rent was overdue. At 24, she had once dreamed of concert halls and conservatories, of her fingers gliding across ivory keys while audiences held their breath. But life had shifted harshly after her father's illness drained their savings. Her scholarship disappeared. The piano in their small apartment was sold to cover medical bills. What remained was responsibility, grief, and the quiet ache of unfinished dreams. That afternoon, sunlight poured through towering windows, illuminating the polished black grand piano positioned near the center of the ballroom. It belonged to Victor Langford, the wealthy host known more for his arrogance than his generosity. He had spotted Ariana earlier when she paused briefly beside the instrument, her eyes lingering on it with something close to longing. He mistook that look for envy. With a smug smile, Victor announced loudly that the talented waitress had claimed she could play better than the hired musicians who had cancelled. The statement wasn't true. Ariana had said nothing. But the guests chuckled, curious to see the spectacle unfold. To them, it was harmless entertainment. Heat rushed to Ariana's cheeks as whispers circled the room. She could refuse, risk losing her job, and walk out with nothing. Or she could sit down and let them laugh when her rusty skills betrayed her. Her heart pounded so loudly she wondered if the entire ballroom could hear it. For a second, she saw her father's tired smile in her memory, heard his voice telling her that music was the one thing no one could ever take from her. Slowly, she placed the tray on a nearby table and walked toward the piano. Each step felt like crossing a battlefield. The polished bench felt unfamiliar beneath her. Her fingers hovered above the keys, trembling. The guests leaned forward in anticipation of a mistake. The first note was soft, almost fragile. A few people exchanged amused glances. Then the second note followed, and the third, forming a melody so delicate it seemed to float in the golden daylight. Ariana closed her eyes. The ballroom disappeared. The chandeliers, the judging stares, the millionaire's smirk, they all faded. In their place was her childhood living room, sunlight on old wooden floors, her father listening with pride. Her hands began to move with growing confidence. The melody swelled into something powerful and alive, rich with longing and resilience. It wasn't just music, it was her story poured into sound. The humiliation they expected transformed into awe. Conversations stopped entirely. Forks rested midair. Even the waitstaff stood still. Victor's confident posture faltered. His smirk dissolved into disbelief as the room filled with harmonies that resonated deep within every listener. Ariana's playing carried sorrow, hope, and quiet strength. It spoke of sacrifice and survival. It spoke of dreams delayed but not destroyed. By the time she reached the crescendo, some guests had tears glistening in their eyes. The final note lingered in the air like a held breath before gently fading. Silence followed, not mocking silence, but reverent stillness. Then, as if awakened from a trance, the entire ballroom erupted into thunderous applause. Ariana opened her eyes slowly, unsure if what she heard was real. The same people who had prepared to laugh were now standing. A woman near the front wiped her tears. An older gentleman clapped with genuine admiration. Even the catering manager looked stunned. Victor stepped forward, his face pale, his voice unsteady. For the first time that afternoon, he looked small. The spotlight he had intended as a weapon had become a revelation. Without another word, Ariana stood from the bench. She did not bow dramatically or wait for praise. She simply walked back toward her tray with quiet dignity. But something had changed. Guests approached her with business cards, invitations, and apologies. A renowned event organizer offered her a paid performance opportunity. The same ballroom that had threatened to break her spirit had become the doorway to her return. As the luncheon resumed, the sunlight streaming through the windows seemed warmer, brighter, like a promise. Ariana realized that sometimes humiliation is only a disguise for destiny. Sometimes the very moment meant to shrink you becomes the one that reveals your strength. If this story touched your heart, please engage with this video, like it, share it with someone who needs hope, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. And here's a special request: comment the word "believe" if you think hidden talents deserve a chance to shine. Because in the end, kindness may not always speak the loudest at first, but true talent, fueled by resilience, will always find its music.